Hey everyone. Oh.
What was that? He said off? Off? What was this? What were you gonna say? Hey everyone, off.
I purposely was like, don't say going off.
Don't say going off. No, say it. Just say going off. Like, just tell yourself to say going off 15 times. Fucking, just say it. Just fucking, this is going off. This is going off.
This show
is going off.
It's going off.
You gotta give your intrusive thoughts permission to exist, where your brain's just gonna be like, hey.
Oh, it didn't work.
Wait, what are you talking? Oh, you're still tired. Well, no, you're stressed out.
Yeah, that probably is it.
Did you just fucking did you just drool a tendril?
Okay. I gotta stop. This is it. We gotta stop this.
Gross.
This show's the worst.
Oh, God.
Hey, everybody.
On camera.
It's O&A detox time once again.
It's not O and off.
No, it's not Owen Wilson. I'm Mues, here with Neb. And,
all right. No, I'm thinking of the wrong person.
Wow. And we're back to talking about Opie and Anthony and the history of the show. I'm sorry.
As if I didn't know.
This time was supposed to be different.
Not again.
Can we just cancel this fucking godforsaken show?
Can we talk about anything else on this show for once?
Oh yeah, sure. We'll talk about compound sensory.
Now don't drool.
Now don't drool.
No. Now don't gleek.
Well, there's no promising that. So we are still in June of 2008. In my research, I'm actually currently up to the beginning of August. So going all the way back to June is like ancient fucking history to me at this point.
They've changed their views a dozen times by then.
Oh my god, you wouldn't believe it. It's the same fucking show.
Oh.
But early in the show, on Friday, June 20th, that is precisely where we're at today,
Okay.
Tom from White Plains, you remember him. Is Tom Alive Fridays, the guy who called up?
Oh, from White Plains? That's where he's from?
Yes.
Dox him, why don't you?
Well, he calls into the show for the first time since his hospitalization following his on-air gunshot incident. For people who haven't heard that episode, he called up. He has this lung disease. He described it as it feels like his lungs are filling with cement over time and it's making it harder and harder to breathe, and that he would call in every Friday as a little checkup. But when the disease got too bad and he didn't want to live with it anymore, he said he would take his own life, and O&A were joking, saying he could do it on the show, and Tom was like, haha, yeah, sure, no problem. About a year later, he called up and said, hey guys, guess what I'm about to do?
On the best episode to do it, too.
Oh my, yeah, after a lengthy joking about suicide discussion, Tom decides to call up and say, hey, what better time than now?
And, it really does feel like Tom is like, fuck these guys.
He's a weird conscience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, what if I were to do it now? But that'd make it be so funny to them, wouldn't it? He just comes in, it's just like, fuck you guys. Reality hits now.
And then joke's on him, it wouldn't have changed Anthony at all, because Anthony says he honestly doesn't care about Tom as a person, and he wouldn't have minded if he actually did do it. He was more concerned about possibly losing his job, which he definitely would have if that did happen.
How many times has he lost his job? Like fucking 5 times?
Radio job or just jobs?
Sure.
Well, I know about 2 times he was fired from jobs for just not showing up anymore when he was a kid.
When he was a kid. Well,
at high school.
Okay.
One was actually working for his uncle. And he kept showing up late, and then one day his uncle was just like, just go home, dude. And he goes, okay. And thought he had the day off, so he went home, and his mom was like, what the fuck? And he's like, what? What happened? He was like, you get fired? He's like, what? No. Because his uncle called and was just like, I have to fire your fucking son. He ain't showing up.
Didn't tell him.
No.
How old was he?
Probably 15, 16, if I had to guess. Then this would happen to him again at another job. And then I guess he landed the air conditioning job. And he quit from that, so that one doesn't count. They got fired from Boston. They get well, they don't get fired from New York. Because they get put on a 2-year, suspension. So I guess they're not technically fired. It was a 2-year non-compete.
What?
So they weren't necessarily fired, and their show was canceled, but they weren't fired.
So they still got paid?
Yeah. They got paid from 2002 to 2004.
I worked hard for my money.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, but Ant will tell you that those 2 years were terrible. I mean, honestly, according to his book, that is when he kind of, started drinking a hell of a lot more. I think he had a heart attack. So yeah, life outside of, getting paid might have been kind of rough and tumultuous. But, and then both of them end up getting fired from Sirius XM at different points in the future
for different spicy reasons.
Tom says he's doing a lot better. When he's asked what help made him see that life was worth living, he cites Anthony being able to pull Jill Nicolini.
Wow.
If Anthony can get someone like Jill, I'm sure that changed Anthony's opinion of Tom very much. Now I love this guy.
Yeah, if Anthony can get... Look at him.
Speaking of which, the CW11, that's the channel that Jill does traffic for, is running a video they filmed of Antholini, who people might remember is the celebrity nickname they gave to Anthony and Jill.
The spaghetti nickname. They
filmed them on a date at Dave & Buster's for a website-exclusive video that they put up on the website.
That's right, I forgot about the website.
Unfortunately, it's lost to time. I couldn't find it, but they played a good bit of it on the show.
They didn't have the Antholini website on the Wayback Machine?
No.
Wow.
It's on there, but when you click it, it's just a blank page.
Maybe that's what the website was.
The video wasn't for the Antholini website. It was for the CW11 website.
Oh.
Because Jill makes enough references about Anthony on air when she's doing the traffic.
Does he show up ever on air?
In videos they filmed over the weekend sometimes, but he's doing the O&A show. He just can't jump over. So the rest of the boys rag on wholesome Anthony, who honestly sounds pretty natural in my opinion. Listening to them on the date, and Anthony joking with Jill and joking with the people from the station, just kind of being a normal guy. It doesn't feel forced.
Like he's not on?
No, it's just Anthony being a dude. And of course they make fun of him because, whipped, whatever. Okay, you're happy.
What do you think they even think whipped is? Like, you do anything the woman says, just to get sex?
Or, I don't know. I think it just...
Yeah.
Their idea of someone being whipped is just, being respectful from the sound of it. Nothing special happens for the rest of the half of the show, but the XM portion is action-packed. Porn star Bree Olsen and longtime friends Dr. Steve and Tippy Tom are in studio. The Tippy Tom! He's a homeless gentleman.
Yep.
And among the numerous homeless men that O&A have had on their show, Tom is a regular and is genuinely funny. The show met a good bit of homeless people through a promotion they did for a number of years called the Homeless Shopping Spree, where they would send Keith the cop out to wrangle a number of homeless people, get them on a bus, give them money, and turn them loose in one of New York's high-end malls. They would have producers on cell phones following the participants around, documenting what they were buying, and the reactions from the other shoppers and store owners. The event would usually attract a lot of listeners as well, who would also show up to watch. Anthony is a bit of a germaphobe when it comes to the homeless guests, and insists that Tom remain on the outside of the studio among the other listeners watching the show on the bleachers, but as for today's episode, Anthony has to leave early to catch a plane with Jill for a mini Bahamas vacation, so Opie lets Tom in the studio after Anthony leaves. And, since nobody is sitting there, Tom sits in Anthony's chair, playing with Anthony's toys like his bell, bullhorn, and slide whistle.
Nice.
Tom should put those headphones on. You don't need spray. Put the headphones on.
I gotta talk to somebody.
All right, why don't you put the headphones on? There you go.
Oh, what's in here?
Yeah, try that. Try blowing into that.
Yeah, that's funny.
There you go.
Oh, look, it's Anthony on line 3.
Hey, wait, Tom, take this next call through the bullhorn.
Hey,
Tom. Hey,
I
Tom.
like the bullhorn. Go ahead.
Say it. Hi, who's this?
Hi, who's this?
Get that animal out of my
No!
I
The animal's not here now.
I will never use any of those things again. I want everything disinfected, the entire side of the studio, and I will not sit in that chair. I will
You're out of business now, buddy! You're fired!
Dr. Steve ends up giving Tippy Tom a prostate exam, which ends up going pretty well. But to even things out, the boys acknowledge Bree Olson, who has been sitting there in studio the whole time. You see her in the video, she's sitting next to Tom, but they don't ever acknowledge her until after Tom leaves. It sounds like they're two ships crossing in the night, but if you see in the video, she's been sitting there the whole time. I don't know why.
Just looking on, just like, what is happening?
Yeah, she's right the fuck there. It's really weird. I have no idea if she's there to promote anything, because as soon as she's introduced, Opie brings in Creampie Jones to redeem himself from earlier in the week. If you remember, in our last episode, Creampie Jones, one of their interns, was brought into studio because it was his 21st birthday, and they wanted to have him get a blowjob from Lisa Sparks, and he got really anxious. Simulated. And he got anxious and nervous and wasn't able to do it, and then went home and threw up. Yeah, he called in the next day and he apologized, and they're like, okay, well, we'll have you make good the next chance or whatever. So Bree Olson's in studio, so they say, here you go, here's your chance to redeem yourself. After very little small talk, Bree is talked into blowing Creampie, which she does. I have a really hard time trying to figure out how this works. You just have a porn star in studio, and then you just have them do sexual things with somebody on the show?
It's just like, well, you're a porn star, you'll fuck anybody.
Yeah.
That's what porn stars are, they just fuck anybody. They don't have to do any, like, testing or, like, vetting or anything like that. No, you'll just fuck anybody.
They mention Creampie and all the thing, and she just goes, alright, what do you want me to do? And then just ends up doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you obviously can't pay her, because then that's
soliciting sex.
Yeah, and you can't do that. I mean, we're not supposed to be doing it on air at all.
But I imagine they're paying her to be a guest anyway.
No.
No?
You don't pay guests.
I worked so hard for my money. This is my Anthony impression. I worked so hard for my money.
I mean, that's not how it works with any show. Guests don't get paid.
Why not?
They might get paid from their, like, agency for doing the appearance, or they get paid in the promotion they get for whatever they're there to promote. What was she promoting? Nothing. They don't ask her.
Exactly. So what?
Her name. Her website at the very most. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's all very upsetting.
So confusing.
And that's about it. Bree left the porn industry in the 2010s.
Right after that.
And doesn't think highly of the business. Since then, she briefly dated Charlie Sheen. I thought the name sounded familiar. And was also in Human Centipede 3.
3?
3! And it's been radio silence for most of the last decade.
Well, I hope she's doing fine.
Her website's still active, but Lord knows I have no idea what the website even does. It just looks like a hub for, I guess, contacting her.
Oh, it's like there's not any, like, pay options or anything? Like, you can buy content or anything?
It's not a content page. It's just she doesn't do porn at all anymore.
Oh, well, when you said it was still up, I assumed that, like, it was that page that was still up.
I mean, I guess it's still the same page,
just
but it's
rebranded.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's weird.
So it's like if you want the girl from Human Centipede 3 to
go
on your show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remembered the name Bree Olson from when Charlie Sheen was all in the news during his fucking Tiger Blood bullshit.
Not Brie Larson.
No. His hashtag winning bullshit. So Anthony is still on vacation the following Monday, and the episode sucked, so we're skipping it. We're heading into Tuesday, where Patrice is in studio in place of Jim Norton. They get to talking about WNBA players when Opie and Patrice agree on one player they find especially attractive. Anthony disagrees, saying she basically looks like a man. This opens the discussion about whether Anthony ever finds black women attractive, with the answer basically being hardly ever. He'll make the occasional exception if they're mixed. The more Anthony tries to make excuses, the more Patrice pushes back, even saying, "Your racism is unprecedented," which Anthony jokes back, "Thank you." Opie, on the other hand, has told the story multiple times that he would go to black clubs back when he lived in Boston and would try to have sex with black women, but would never be successful, and noted he felt like a joke no one in the club took seriously. This isn't the only story I've heard Opie tell over and over about interactions with black people. He also loves to tell the story about when he was younger and playing basketball, and overheard a black friend of his throwing the N-word around with his other black friends, and decided he would be allowed to say it too.
Me too!
Only to get knocked out, and the friendship was never the same. The conversation continues, and Opie eventually has to disagree with Patrice when it comes to ass size. Opie thinks Alicia Keys has too big of an ass. I don't know what pictures Opie's been looking at, and this only proves Patrice's point. Any ass is too much ass for O&A, which wouldn't be weird if so much of their show, or at least it used to be, sexualizing and objectifying women. The percentage of women they find attractive seems to get smaller and smaller with every conversation. Once the topic of porn comes up, Anthony says that he finds interracial porn, or at least black man on white woman porn, to be, quote, disturbing. I can't tell if he's exaggerating, but another time Patrice is in studio and they just watch and react to porn videos for over half an hour, Anthony seems genuinely disgusted and is often one to bring up the hack "what must her father think" bullshit.
Sounds like somebody who probably likes that porn.
Secretly? Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's considered a taboo in a lot of circles still. And the more disgusted by it you are, the more taboo it is.
That's true.
And if you're racist, you probably over-sexualize black men.
Yeah.
And you over-purify white women.
Oh god, yes he does.
And so, like, he's the audience for it.
Yeah. It's funny for how regularly they shit on other radio show hosts for doing hacky, safe bits. They often fall back on the same hacky, edgy bits. I haven't heard a single conversation about gay people that doesn't eventually, if not immediately, go to joking about AIDS. Back in 2008, when Anthony is asked what porn he likes, he puts amateur at the top of his list over, quote, overacted professional porn stars. I find it funny, as Anthony would probably love OnlyFans if he was the type of person who would ever consider to be willing to pay for porn and wasn't actively shitting on OnlyFans sex workers on his show. He seems like he doesn't want to be associated with conservatives because he still has a mindset of conservatives are traditionalist, conservative, religious people that he doesn't associate himself with.
No, yeah.
But now in 2023, he finds himself relating and agreeing with more and more of what they're talking about.
Yeah, like the Christian conservatives are just an attempt to convert Christians into conservatives.
Yeah.
Christians aren't just naturally conservative.
No.
Like, but American Christians are conservative.
Yeah.
Not all Christians, of course.
Right.
But that's the goal of the conservative ideology.
You like the big booty. That big booty scares a white guy.
Of big booties as that has nothing to do with the actual.
And Patrice, I'm with you. Hold on.
Or I don't know what you would call it, but the actual places where things go has nothing to do with the size of the butt cheek.
Patrice, that's fine, but we're not
little baby butt cheeks.
For the most part, white guys don't like a flat ass either. We want a.
You do.
No, we want a shapely ass. We just don't want it.
If you think these models are sexy, you want a flat ass.
No, they got nice little butts.
Say it again.
They got nice little butts.
There you go. Good job.
I've seen these women that walk around. Black women with giant asses that's a shelf on the back, and I see black guys go, God damn, that's hot. Oh, God damn, look at that ass.
But
and I'm I'm disgusted.
Two lima beans and go, she's hot.
Yeah, that's where we're never going to agree on that
to disagree.
Yeah, I understand.
Because those fat asses
you listen,
disgust me.
You can't. Ass is not sexy if you can hold it the same way you check to see if bread's done.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Hold it to check to see if bread is done.
I tried to picture that too. I don't know.
How do you check to see if bread is done?
Has Patrice made bread? It's a funny visual, even though I can't visualize it, if that makes sense.
Going back to what they were talking about.
Yeah.
It's such a different thing to be like, I am not drawn to that kind of body.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing to be like, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like...
Because their conversation is pretty middle of the road for the most part. Anthony's saying that he just doesn't find specific women attractive, but the more Patrice pushes, the more and more it sounds like he's just not attracted to minorities at all.
Yeah, he's digging his heels in and being revealed more and more.
Yeah.
Claiming a strong preference, and even simply saying, I'm not attracted to that kind of body type, whatever that body type might be, like, it's definitely worth investigating, like, in yourself.
Yeah, why?
Just, like,
why is that?
Why are some people just not attracted to any fat people?
Right.
Like, even if you, like, didn't know they were fat and you were super into them online and then, like, you find out in real life that, oh, they're fat, then it's like, why are you not attracted now? Why is that the breaking point?
You know, it's funny. We'd probably never get to it organically, and it probably wouldn't be worth playing. When Anthony was younger, and he would play on a CB radio.
Okay.
He talked to a girl on the CB radio.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And arranged for them to hook up.
So that's the first online dating. Oh.
Yeah. And ride horses and everything. And when she showed up, she ended up being fatter than Anthony expected. Went along with the date begrudgingly, and then just didn't talk to her again after that. But yeah, that has happened.
And it's fat phobia. Like, it is, in my opinion, it is 100% fat phobia. There is a huge debate, body attraction, and whether or not it is always or never problematic.
Mm.
And I think it's a bit, you know, there's a sliding scale, but I think it always is a little bit problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't want to objectify people, then you shouldn't be basing attraction on body.
Yeah.
Because then you're thinking of their body as an object rather than just the vessel that the person lives in.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know, like you meet somebody online and you're like, oh my God, I'm like so into this person. Wow. Like I'm like in love with this person and like, I love everything about them. And then you meet them in real life and they're everything you expected, but then something's different. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe they can't have kids. Or maybe they are a lot shorter than you thought.
Mm.
Like, you've seen pictures, but like, oh, you didn't realize.
Right.
And it's just like, I think it just all comes down to objectification.
Right.
It's not just a simple preference, and it comes down to genitalia, in my opinion, too.
I was thinking that, too.
Like,
yeah.
I want to, like, really come from the perspective of, like, you know, my lived experience being, like, a fat person, like, a little fat person. But genitalia is something that so many people are talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, oh, man, I just love dick. I just love dick. I don't care. I just love dick. It's like, so if someone you were into didn't have a dick, it's a deal breaker?
Yeah.
Or if you're just, I love women. I fucking love women. I love all women. And if the woman has a dick,
then,
or had a dick,
right?
That's a deal breaker for some people. And it's like, why? Like and it's like, oh man, like how do I work with it? It's like, if you're fucking into the person, you work with it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just objectifying them.
Yeah. If it's just hookup culture, then fucking admit it is what it is, and go from there.
Yeah, exactly.
But even then, just fucking deal.
Just deal with it. There are so many different ways to have sex rather than penis and vagina.
Yeah.
Or like any combination that people consider social norms.
Right.
It's like, hey, we've got mouths. We've got assholes. We've got so many things to work with. We've got hands. We've got fucking so many toys.
Fast forwarding to the next day, a story that comes early in the show details a Heinz Deli mayonnaise commercial that was pulled in the UK for showing a gay couple kissing. What, have you had Heinz Deli mayo before?
I love mayonnaise.
Okay.
Heinz is good. Heinz is pretty chill.
I don't think I've ever had a Heinz mayo.
Ham salad, please, Mum. Yeah, you got it, kid. And practice tonight.
What about me?
Oh, what about you? I'm gonna give you a little piece extra ham. Don't tell your brother.
Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome. See, not love. Hey, ain't you forgetting something? Love you. Straight home from work, sweet cheeks.
Mayo with a New York deli flavor. So the joke there is they're British, but the husband making the sandwiches...
Well, no, the mom.
Well,
that's what the kid said, mum.
I think that's a British cultural thing.
I don't think it is.
Well, I've heard people in the business world calling just women at work mum. Even if they're not actually a mom.
I've never heard that.
Really? I've heard that.
Because what that commercial told me was it's like the Snickers commercials.
Oh, where it's an out-of-body thing.
Yeah, where it's like a normal mother making making lunch for her family and everything, but she's actually like a New Yorker because she's in her deli mode.
That's gotta be it.
That's gotta be it.
Because it doesn't inherently make it seem like they are a gay couple.
No, not at all. That's why I thought...
Especially because the kid's saying mom. Seem like they did that intentionally so people wouldn't think it was a gay couple. You might be right there.
Hold on.
I didn't think about that. It only aired a couple times before it was pulled, so there wasn't really a whole lot of discourse around it.
Why do British people address their female superiors as mum? They don't. They address them as ma'am. This is just Reddit. It just sounds like they're saying mum. Mem. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I could see that.
Okay.
And so it sounded like that kid was saying mum.
It could go either way here.
Yeah.
But I didn't think about that point of it. That adds a whole nother layer of creativity to the commercial.
You know what probably made them really uncomfortable? That it was a face holding kiss. It was like one of those Yeah. It was more intimate instead of just like...
Yeah.
Just like a dry
I personally think the commercial's really funny and charming.
Yeah, I like it.
Especially for 2008.
It was jarring though because of the whole New York accent. I was like, wait. And he's like dressed in like a deli guy outfit. What do you call that? A butcher outfit?
Yeah. And he's addressing the kids like customers at a deli.
Yeah. Hey, come here to the dad.
It's fun. It's harmless.
I like it. We'll see what they say about it.
With Norton still in LA filming The Gong Show with Dave Attell, we don't get the expected gay jokes, telling me that a good bit of Anthony's personality is dictated by those around him, going back to the CW11 feature.
Yeah.
It really does seem like if Jim's around, he's going to make specific kind of jokes. If he's around Jill and CW11 people, he's not going to be Anthony from the O&A show. He's going to be Anthony the boyfriend. You know? I mean, it could just be, adapting to realizing what is appropriate for specific situations and surroundings, but it also feels like if Anthony is trying extra hard to be edgy just because Jim is there.
Yeah, exactly. It's try hard, almost.
Yeah. Instead, Anthony gives us a take on the situation, no jokes, and it's not at all what I expected. Nor did I expect the direction the conversation would go, thanks to Patrice.
Why are people so hung up on what gay people are doing? Does it really affect anybody what gay people are doing? Except for those, really flamboyant gay people that are,
Anthony,
trying to get rights that no one deserves.
You see the joke yet to throw in there?
Except for the flamboyant ones that are trying to get rights that nobody does. What rights are flamboyant people trying to... What, like the right to own the earth?
The right to get married because he's so anti-marriage. That's the joke. You know.
So no one should have the right to get married?
That's the joke that some people make about...
That's such a weird
Why do gay people gotta fight to get married? I'd give it up,
Your average run-of-the-mill gay people.
I'm proud of you today.
Really?
I thought you would just take the other tact,
No, I'm like, who cares? It's like, I don't care enough about gay people.
I'm with you. I don't care either.
What?
I really thought you were going to go the other way.
No.
F the Fs.
I'm not that proud of him on this one, but I would go ahead.
Why? Knowing what he's all about?
He's still all about it.
He's still all about it.
And here's what it is. Did you notice the disclaimer that he did add in? Which gays he was? He's fine as long as he doesn't know you're gay, which means
that's most of the gay people.
It does bug them.
That's a lot of gay people.
As long as they're white gay and you don't know it, but those
white gay people,
those ones that you know are gay is that's a whole different
Patrice,
story.
it's every group on the face of this earth. It's that the flamboyant or the ones that are what I call the troublemakers, the ones that ruin it for everybody. Super proud to be whatever the F you are.
White people in this.
No, we can't be proud of what we are. White people can't be proud of what we are.
Flamboyantly happy to be white. White people are
called skinheads.
Who cares what they call?
But it's true.
They're proud to be white. Now, are you upset with them? Uh-oh.
Let me think.
This nigga said,
yeah.
He said,
yeah, I'm upset with them because they do. They make it bad because then every other group thinks all white people are racist, which, isn't true.
So why are you upset with any black people who are...
I don't like black people that are overly proud of this, too. Assimilate to society. Everybody just lives.
You associate us with... We're all like that.
No, I don't. I honestly don't.
I would argue it's a little different in 2023.
Yeah.
But it definitely seems like there's a good bit more generalization going on than in 2008, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe there is, and it's just not on air, and he doesn't want to admit it to Patrice.
It's almost as if he's trying to be anti-edgy to be edgy right there.
Yeah, right. He's trying to shock people by not being shocking. I very rarely hear him ever talk about his problems with racist white people. If anything, you hear him more or less talk about how funny it is that people in his own family are racist, or joke about his own racism. He never shits on...
It's funny, it's harmless.
He never shits on skinheads, as he says, or people.
No.
I mean, in that thing, but right before that, he's super defensive about white people not being able to express white pride.
Yeah, he's, sad about it. He's, upset about it.
It's not something he talks about a lot about now, but it definitely does become more of a thing as the years go on, for sure.
It implies that there is something inherently unique about being white other than supremacy.
Right.
And
you're going to celebrate supremacy? I mean, he does.
Yeah.
You always hear him talk about how, white people invented so many things, especially that one time where he said, white people invented the microphone, and then you looked it up and found out that no, it was a black person that invented the microphone. So even this guy is super uninformed about what he's rambling about.
Yeah, the concept of white pride only exists in reaction to minority groups wanting to express their pride in a world that is constantly trying to oppress them.
Yeah.
If that didn't exist, which is rooted in, the results of white supremacy and white supremacy oppression, then white people wouldn't be like, we need white pride. Same with straight pride.
Yeah.
Where it's why do you feel you need straight pride? You are overrepresented. White people are overrepresented. White pride people and straight pride people think that it's merely, I'm proud of being who I am. Marginalized groups who push for a pride movement. It's not as simple as I am proud of who I am.
Right.
It's I am proud of who I am in spite of the world working against us.
And I guess if you are someone like Anthony and you see everything as being an attack on white people, then yeah, maybe you do feel oppressed and maybe you do feel like that white power, little Freudian slip there, that white pride might be something that you need to embrace. But why does white pride need to be an all or nothing thing? Why do you look at it as we're not allowed to be proud and we're not allowed to have white pride? I'm just going to say as a white person, I don't have pride as being a white person, but you just kind of have that thing in your back of your head of just, it's acknowledging the privilege, honestly.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about before. It's the realizing your place in society. And rather than being super proud and prideful about having more rights, being allowed to get away with more, just being the default, being the default status, so to speak, using that knowledge to then apply to people who who do have more, what did you say in the last episode?
They have more disadvantages.
More disadvantages. And use the power in society that you have to try to lift up the people that are under you. But that is seen as pandering to someone like Anthony. It feels like coddling.
Or like instead of white pride, you have white guilt.
Exactly.
And yeah, you're saying like the all or nothing kind of thing.
Yeah,
where it's like
it's not a black and white issue.
Yeah.
You're either prideful or guilty.
Yeah.
Like those are it's an on and off switch. Mm-hmm. That's not.
And either way, like both white pride and white guilt, from his perspective, are rooted in resentment.
Yeah.
While white guilt and white pride could both, like you're saying, propel you to help others.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you're really proud of how strong you are and like you won all these awards about being strong, physically strong and everything, are you just going to be like, I'm so strong, I'm so proud of it? Or are you going to like apply it to something that you can utilize that strength with? Like maybe like, I'm so strong, I can like lift up 5 people. Like I'm so strong, I can pick a car up off a person. You know, like
that I could actually help and benefit others around me.
Is it just passive, I'm better than everybody? Or is it an active, I have more abilities, I'm going to use them for something?
This is a 2-part thing. First of all, if you're going to be one of these people, I think this is a caveat. If we were to actually one day just say, okay, fine, we're not going to shame you for bragging about white pride or whatever. Go ahead, knock your fucking self out. It's fine. Whatever. At the end of the day, what's it going to fucking harm? If you apply it to everyone. Because people like this are not going to, and I'm generalizing here, but this is just from what I've seen, y'all aren't the type of people who are going to use that to lift up disadvantaged, poor white people. You are not going to give them the
support. If you boil it down, what is the white pride?
It's in yourself. It's not for the other people. And at the end of the day, if you do give them this, they're not going to do shit with it.
Yeah.
It's nothing but bragging rights and to troll. And it's based out of resentment for seeming like having a Black History Month is a privilege, is an advantage over you not having one.
These are the people that scream Black Lives Matter. We mean all lives matter.
It's like, then, okay, yeah, no one is saying, yeah, prove it then.
Do something about it then.
Exactly.
If you think all lives matter, then fight for the white lives that you're screaming about that are unfairly incarcerated or arrested or killed by police. Like, that happen. You say it happens and do something about it.
Yeah, no, they just use them as tokens. You don't actually care. You just try to say, hey, I don't know why black people are complaining so much. White people are killed by police all the time, too. Mm-hmm. And then you turn your back and still support...
You don't care about those white people.
Yeah, you still support police anyway.
Just like you're saying with the marginalized white people. Like, white people don't care. White supremacists don't care about marginalized white people.
No.
They just lump them into, no, you're other. You're other. White people are white... able-bodied, cis-het men who have money. That's like the pinnacle of white.
You can't be proud you're disabled.
You're gay? No. That's not...
No. Gay pride?
You're mentally ill? No.
No. To me, it feels very much like people who bought into the blue check marks on Twitter. And you see now, Elon is trying to pitch a yearly subscription fee.
Yeah.
If you pay like $144 or something, you can have the blue check mark all year round. We're only a few months into this, being able to actually buy a blue check mark, and they're paying on a monthly basis. A lot of the people that are actually doing it are people who are trying to claim a privilege they see in people who already had the blue check marks and saying, haha, it's not as special anymore, is it?
Yeah.
Politician, business owner, whatever, someone that got lumped in, some notable person. I have one too. What does that say about yours?
Yeah.
And
I have pride too.
It's like, what are you going to do with that shit though?
Yeah.
Does it mean anything to you?
Yeah.
It's
just a gotcha.
Yeah, it's just to troll. And it's why a lot of these people are not going to pay a yearly fee when you got like 62 followers.
They're not going to commit to the bit that long.
No.
And it's a bit.
It is just a bit. Yeah. It's a bit to try to make other people feel bad.
White pride, it's a bit. Straight pride, it's a bit. I've literally never met, and I have a lot of straight friends. I have literally never met a straight person who's been like, no, I'm just really proud of like my sexuality. It's like, I've never met one like that.
And what are you gonna do with it? If you have a White History Month, if you have a straight pride, what are you gonna fucking do? You're not gonna go to a straight pride parade. You're not gonna, you're not gonna be sharing white history facts on Facebook.
Yeah, like, straight
you don't
pride.
care.
Straight pride, once again. Straight pride. How are you going... What about people who are not cis, who are straight? What are you going to do about people who are black who are straight? Because sexuality and gender and race are all interlinked.
Yep.
Like, does straight pride just once again boil down to white supremacy?
Or it's just you. It's everyone celebrating themselves. White, straight people on their block, they're not gonna fucking care about. It's just them.
Yeah, and it's funny. They've almost got the point.
Yeah.
That, like, celebrating yourself is worthwhile. Celebrating yourself at the expense of others, that's fucking cruel. You're wasting time shitting on other people when you could just be celebrating yourself. Even the most privileged white person is going to, at some point in their life, most likely become disabled in some way.
Right.
With age or accidents or disease. And part of white supremacy is like denying that.
Yeah.
Is to not look into that. Is to hate yourself for it. And, I am not a disabled person. I am able-bodied. So if somebody disagrees with that, I'd love to hear that point of view.
Yeah.
If some person who is disabled wants to, like, give me, like, their insight with how white supremacy and ableism and the disabled community, like, have this intersectional thing that I'm unaware of, I want to know more about that, because divesting yourself from other communities is, in a lot of ways, divesting from yourself. Like, specifically with, like, being ableist, assuming you're always going to be an able-bodied person.
Yeah.
Or being homophobic, assuming that, like, you're not going to have, like, a queer kid or something.
Right.
Or, assuming that you're not going to become best friends with a black person. Like, all these things where it's like, I can't accept that I have a black best friend. I can't accept that I have a gay kid or something. And you're losing out on so many aspects of life. And for what? Like, what do you gain from that? Conservative ideology is the conservation of a societal norm. You don't have societal norms as an individual.
Yeah.
You just uphold them. What's the worst that could happen if you stopped upholding societal norms?
Yeah.
You're scared? Okay, everyone's scared. Get over it. Be scared.
Yeah.
Be scared and, like, fight for some shit that you actually give a shit about, rather than, like, fighting against things that could better you and your community.
And if you are scared, maybe you can then sympathize with minorities who live scared of the oppression and the systemic things that are making it harder for minorities. You might be able to relate.
Yeah, it's almost as if white people can relate to oppression too, and they're in denial of it. We're in denial of it.
Yeah, white people should be able to relate to oppression without having to have been oppressed themselves.
Yeah, exactly. They can relate to it and also point out in themselves the small ways that they are affected by it.
Right.
Even the most straight, white, wealthy man is going to be oppressed by toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Because toxic masculinity tells men that they cannot feel emotions other than anger. And that is a kind of oppression.
I want to give Velocity Tube a shout out. It's a YouTube channel, Abigail Thorne. I've been watching her stuff recently. Really quality stuff. A lot of people here are going to be, what the fuck, you're really late to this party. I know. It takes me a while to fucking get into new YouTubers, okay?
Same.
But they made a video recently about their problems with the National Health System Service, or whatever, in the UK.
Okay.
Dealing with help and transitioning. And I think the title of the video is like, I emailed 133 times, here's the trouble, like, here's my story.
Damn.
Trying to change the system that is making it inherently hard for people to transition. That you have a right to be helped within 18 weeks, but people are still on a year's worth waiting list.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And part of the video talks about gender dysphoria. How trans people have to prove to be suffering from gender dysphoria and able to get the help they need. Meanwhile, cis people can get the help for the same things without having to prove they have gender dysphoria. Like cis women who are dealing with periods.
And menopause.
Menopause can get the hormones that trans people would want, but can't get for whatever reason. If you're a straight cis man and you look at other men who are stronger and bigger than you.
More quote-unquote manly.
Yeah, is that not gender dysphoria?
Yeah.
If you're a woman and you have like facial hair and you think that's not
that's not the look you're going for. It doesn't make you feel like
that not gender dysphoria?
Meh.
Cis people can deal with this.
Yeah, like
just because it's not labeled as such doesn't make it different.
It is the exact same thing, and it really is just a different name. It's a hoop that they are forcing people to jump through.
Yeah. We all have insecurities.
Yeah, and like the whole concept of you need to, like, I don't know how frequently this still happens, but I think in Canada, parts of Canada, it's still a thing. Having to live your life as a woman or the opposite or whatever you're going for, as for a year before they'll even consider anything else. And it's just like, why?
And what does that mean?
Why?
Living your life as a woman. Well, how does that...
If I'm fat and I want to... Let's say that I want bariatric surgery for my personal choice or something. And I'm sitting here like, yeah, I'm just really considering this. I think this is right for me. They're going to just give it to me.
Yeah.
They're not going to make me live as a thin person for a year. They're just going to be like, they're probably going to push it on me. And gender and weight are different, obviously. Right. But there are also, when it comes to bodily autonomy, that's my point. Mm-hmm. Where is the bodily autonomy? Why is there a hoop here that people have to jump through?
And it's arbitrary, because something Abigail mentions in the video, too, is that part of dealing with these doctors is like a questionnaire, dealing with, like, do you experience this? Do you experience this? And ultimately, most of the time, a lot of people just fucking lie.
Yeah.
Because how are they going to know? What does living as a woman mean? You could just go,
exactly.
Oh, yeah, yep. You could just say, and how are they going to know?
How are they going? And why should they know?
Exactly.
What is I guess it comes back down to, like, the concept of transitioning in any way. And how, when it comes to how conservative society looks at that. Mm-hmm. What now people want to transition, kids want to transition. What next?
Yeah.
And that is the fear mongering of conservatives. What next? Mm-hmm. And in reality, it's like, yeah, what next? Like, what are the possibilities?
Yeah.
Like, we can be whoever we want to be, and we can change that in the future if we want to.
What more bullshit are we as straight people going to have to deal with?
It's like,
what are we going to have to hear y'all complain about next?
I can't complain about these things, but you do. Like, my mom, like, cis woman, she would be going through the drive-thru and do her order. And then somebody in the drive-thru would be like, okay, drive around, sir. Oh. She would have a conniption. It would be like, it would for the rest of the day.
Oh my God.
And is that not gender dysphoria?
Yeah.
And sometimes somebody will walk by and say, oh, excuse me, sir, in person. Once again, it would really freak her out. And it's like, is that not gender dysphoria?
100%.
You want to be perceived as you want to be perceived.
Yeah.
People on the far right want to try to say that transitioning is some kind of, they don't say eugenics because that's too close to it. That's a little too...
It's showing your hand.
Yeah, but they'll say that it's like they're trying to change our children.
Destroy the family.
Yeah, destroy the family.
Fearmonger.
All fear-mongering. And it's like, what is the worst thing? And, without getting too deep into it, we all know the answer to this.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing that could happen if somebody transitions? It has nothing to do with their, oh my gosh, maybe I changed my mind. That's not the worst thing that could happen. The worst thing that could happen is from the other people that hate you.
Yeah.
The worst thing that could happen is the people telling you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Like, So maybe y'all should just fucking stop with these supposed worst case scenarios when you are the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
The bigots are the worst case scenario.
Going back to this mayo bit.
Back to the mayo bit.
Back to the mayonnaise. On one hand, I really would have liked to have heard more about their thoughts on the commercial, which I'm sure is what Opie had in mind. But as it often goes when Patrice is in studio, the show derails in an even more interesting direction.
But I say to black people that the black people that are perpetuating stereotypes are ruining it for the majority of black people that are just law-abiding, hanging out, doing what they're doing, trying to raise a family.
Why don't you focus on the law-abiding, hanging out?
Because those aren't the ones that I'm afraid are going to bust into my house.
But you treat the ones that aren't going to bust in your house the same exact way.
I do not. I consider you a good friend. I have a black friend, Patrice O'Neal.
Don't. You got a black guy that does the radio
business
show.
associate.
We've never spoken on the phone once.
Right. You've never called him or
there's
nothing.
never been a text. There's never been anything. I'm going to tell you what. If there was 100 people that you would name, oh, my God. If you got down to 92, it's like, oh, my God, I need this person to do something for me. I need something.
Yeah.
92. I wouldn't be in the top 92, so there's 8 people left. And you wouldn't even think to go, hey, maybe Patrice will do that. Like, I'm not in your top 100. If this was a Verizon, I'm not in your top 100.
I think about that.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah, I don't have his email.
There was a top 100 in your Verizon?
I'm guessing it's a contacts list.
Jeez, I've never had 100 contacts on my phone.
That has to be for like professionals.
Okay.
Business office types.
Ugh.
I don't know. You got a Rolodex. It's like a Rolodex. Yeah, that's
I've
a
always
top
wanted a
100.
Rolodex. I don't know why to put in it. Like candy?
Candy?
Like Laffy Taffy?
Laffy Taffy?
Like dots?
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out what would fit in a Rolodex.
Yeah.
No, like those Listerine strips.
Oh!
That's me putting a Listerine strip in my mouth. Ah!
Nothing.
You don't have it. You
I don't have your name and number in my phone.
Nothing.
You'd have to call a few people to get his phone number.
At least I've had one.
You wouldn't even be able to call
in the
one
last
person.
8 years with Opie, like not.
I don't think
on the
I
radio.
have any black people's names in my phone.
Really?
I don't think I do. Let me think.
I got a couple.
And that's amazing. Imus is going through problems, and
What, because I have a racist phone?
all you have to do is be honest. This is what I'm saying about. It's just all you have to do is just be honest, person, and nothing will happen to you.
Just be honest.
It's just like he's sitting there like trying to go blah, 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 and he's like, but I have 2 black people on the show.
Work on the show.
And Anthony doesn't have a black acquaintance.
So there is a little bit of background to this story because they start talking about Imus at the end, and it would make sense for context. So Imus is in trouble for the second time. And this didn't get talked about nearly as much because I don't think he faced nearly as big of consequences. He was talking about female basketball players.
That's right.
And they were actually, when Opie and Patrice were talking about women on the WNBA earlier, they were talking about one of the players that Imus was talking about in the comparing to women or whatever, was saying that one team was more attractive than the other team. He's talking about Pac-Man Jones. I forget his profession. I forget his sport.
I know his profession. He eats ghosts.
Oh, okay. They're talking about his arrest history. The person reading the news is. Imus is just the kind of guy, like, just listening to the news. And he says, Pac-Man Jones has been arrested for gun possession or whatever. And Imus goes, what color is he? And the news guy goes, he's a black man. And Imus goes, of course. His way of defending it was he was trying to make it seem like, of course police would be hassling a black man and arresting. Not making it seem like, of course they are more likely to commit crimes, but police are more likely to harass black people. Okay. That was the argument.
Okay.
Whether or not, if you listen to the whole clip, that's believable, but Imus is very old, and he's not good at satire or subtlety anymore.
Yeah.
So you can really see it go either way. And in his defense, he was talking about the 2 black producers he has on his show, and everything, trying to make it seem like, I can't possibly be racist. Look at all these black people I employ.
Yeah.
And Patrice is sitting there going, Imus is over there getting in trouble. Basically implying Anthony is over here saying way worse shit than Imus is, but he's honest about it. And he's not getting in trouble. When if Imus would just be honest about shit, he'd be able to talk his way out of stuff. It's an interesting backhanded way to defend Anthony. Just being like, this dude should be fired, but he's not.
But I also don't think Anthony's being... he may be being honest, but he's not being 100%...
he's still keeping a good bit of cards to his chest, for sure.
Exactly. He's not showing his hand.
No.
But he's like, hey, I got a nice hand.
He does respect Patrice, and he likes Patrice, and he was really bummed when Patrice passed away, and he was part of the tribute show and everything. I honestly think, though, at the end of the day, Anthony looked at Patrice as more of a friend than Patrice saw Anthony as a friend.
That makes sense.
On this episode, in a far less racist approach than usual, Anthony says he won't be voting for Obama because he saw what he claims Mayor Goldie Wilson did for Hill Valley. Does any of this ring a bell yet?
Sounds familiar.
A refreshingly wholesome ongoing bit around this time is that Anthony is obsessed with Back to the Future. And Mayor Goldie Wilson was the mayor of Hill Valley in Back to the Future. And he's saying, when you go back to the 50s, and he meets Goldie Wilson working at a diner, and he's like, I'm going to make something of my life. And Marty goes, that's right, he's going to be mayor. And he, convinces Goldie Wilson to eventually run for mayor. That when he goes back to the present, and Goldie Wilson is the mayor, Hill Valley's like a shithole. So he's, jokingly insinuating that Hill Valley would have been better off if it didn't have a black mayor. That's the joke.
That is such a nerdy joke.
It's an extremely nerdy joke.
If you know kind of joke.
And all the much younger producers join Anthony in the studio quoting their favorite parts. They'll just, talk about Back to the Future for breaks.
For breaks?
For, 10...
Make it the show.
I'm getting there. Nike unveiled a shoe modeled after Marty McFly's 2015 Future sneaker, and Sam went to ask people online Back to the Future trivia questions. This culminated in the secret show to the future. Every so often, producers and interns would do a live show on a random Saturday at midnight. Sometimes they'd be featured as guest VJs playing an hour of their favorite stuff, and sometimes they would just do their take on a talk show. The secret show to the future was a live watch-along with the audience riff track style.
Oh.
It's a rare, unproblematic moment I wanted to highlight to offer some levity before Louis C.K. is brought in. We have to listen to him talk for a little bit. I did stay up Saturday night to listen to the secret show to the future, pop into my Back to the Future DVD, and watch along. And it was fun. It was a fun little time. It was just, 3, 2, 1, hit play.
Yeah, it's wholesome.
It's a little wholesome thing. Again, Anthony surrounded by people just talking about Back to the Future is totally different than Anthony on the air having to be edgy douche.
If he just focused on shit he liked, rather than shit he hates.
If in current day, 2023, it wouldn't change much. But if Anthony didn't surround himself with people like Gavin and other racist comedians that are on his staff and his regulars, it would be a different show. And I honestly think people would like it more. It wouldn't be so niche. He wouldn't be forced to be a right-wing talking point.
Yeah.
He would just be able to talk about whatever he wants.
Yeah.
The things he likes and enjoys. So he'd be happier.
What did we decide he likes? He likes some video games.
He likes his video games.
He likes
old movies. He'll watch those.
Movies. He likes westerns?
Oh, yeah. He likes westerns. He likes action films, war movies specifically. He likes his war games. He likes his war movies. He likes technology and gadgets. He
what
loves
if he just had
history.
a little podcast, what Anthony likes, and then he just has people
Ron
come
was
on
trying
who
to suggest.
also like it.
That's what Ron said. It was like, you like technology.
Yeah, Ron's totally right.
Exactly.
What if you live for something instead of against something?
Exactly. Lou is currently going through a divorce, and Anthony can relate to an extent. Anthony didn't have 2 kids he still loves very much, and Louis is still way more cordial with his ex-wife, But the positivity ends there, and the comments that don't age well begin here. Lou starts talking about other women he's had sex with, which begs Patrice to ask this random question.
And what are you packing, Lou?
Well, I have a really nice dick. I have a nice penis.
Look at him advertising for future.
I have a really decent, excellent penis. I've been told several times.
You shaving it?
No, I don't shave it.
And where could the ladies...
Just a bushy red ball bush.
Where could the ladies see this penis next?
Well, this penis will be at the State Theater in Bergen County, New Jersey, this Friday, the 27th.
You should just come in and promote all your gigs as "You could see my dick at."
You can see my dick at. I gladly show it to anybody.
Right.
Oh.
And this is when?
2008.
What's the timeline?
It's like 2015. I'd gladly show it.
So
to
are you telling me that
anyone.
Louis C.K.'s sexual assault issues all started with O&A?
It could
That's what
be.
I'm hearing.
It's possible.
Lol. No, he's obviously responsible for his own actions. But still.
And it predates this, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
After the CK phone call, the boys get back to talking about crimes of passion and what deserves life in jail and what deserves the death penalty. I don't have any of that. Opie brings up a woman who is claiming to be too sexy for jail, and with a heavy heart, it must present a Patrice L.
Oh.
Like, I don't want to see beautiful teachers go to jail for fucking, a 22-year-old raping a 14-year-old boy. It's not the same thing.
Right.
So I'm not going to go, if it happens to men, it should happen to women. But fuck it, I'm not that much of a sissy.
And there's nothing rapey about it.
As his dick is hard.
There's nothing rapey about it.
Pull your dick out, motherfucker. I don't want to.
When you were, 14, 15, wasn't that your dream to have some,
Dude, it was I had some big fat teacher.
or a woman in the neighborhood that she's going to take you?
Was it Miss McLaughlin? I would have loved to hump that horse.
That horse?
She was an animal. Just a big, giant tits hanging out. And I just would have fucked her at the age of 12, 13.
I can't imagine there's a guy out there that doesn't want that to happen to them when they're young.
It's this bit again. I'm sorry, everybody.
So he
goes, same thing.
So Patrice goes on to talk about, like, that would have been, like, my fantasy or whatever. It's like, think about what your other sexual fantasies when you were that age were.
Yeah.
Like, cartoon characters.
They might not have been as prevalent at the time, but probably to some extent.
Like, there are so many fantasies kids have, sexual and not sexual, and ones that aren't sexual but suddenly become sexual because, hormones.
Right.
And for one, does a fantasy automatically mean you want it to happen?
I
don't think so.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I don't think that that's the case. Because, like, when I was younger, there were definitely attractive teachers that I was like, oh, they're so attractive and everything. But if I were presented with a situation, hell no.
Yeah.
Like, and even if you're a kid and you're like, yeah, I would totally, be into that. I am a kid, and if that teacher came on to me right now, I would totally be into that. Like, if the kid were to stop and think about risks, implications, power dynamic and stuff like that.
And you're not thinking about that when you're 12.
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily that a 12-year-old can't think about those things, but I think that there is so many other things going on that it is very difficult. And they're not educated on that. You don't learn about power dynamics when you're a kid. You don't learn about rape when you're a kid.
No.
Hopefully not. And I mean, like, you should.
I was
in terms of knowledge and risk, but like, if I'm talking about firsthand.
If you have a health class,
yeah,
they should be making you aware that this is a thing and the what to do. They always tell you, if a stranger tries to come up to you.
Yeah, they tell you that.
They never tell you about, like, a teacher. They never tell you about people you're supposed to trust.
And those are the ones who will commit the crimes.
Because they're closer to you.
They have the access. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, there's so much to be said about especially American education when it comes to sexual wellness or wellness in general, mental health wellness.
Yeah.
But, like, I think kids have the ability to realize that a situation is unsavory if we were to educate them on it.
Exactly. I think it's very weird how we don't take the time to teach children things like this, like you said, if we were to teach them that this isn't something they should want to happen, then they're not going to know, type thing. But a lot of people are still also like, we don't want to tell people that trans identities are a thing because we don't want to implant that thought in their heads either. Things that could possibly benefit them.
Yeah.
Things that could possibly...
Think about all the times that people, like, they get their fucking egg cracked and they're just like, I did not realize this was an option.
Exactly.
You know, for years I just didn't realize it was an option.
Just because you tell people in school about trans people doesn't mean that they're all going to immediately want to transition.
Yeah, you're talking about... You learn about penis and vagina sex when you're in sex ed and everything.
Yeah.
People still gay.
Yeah.
People still come out gay.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, I'm good.
You know.
Gross.
So, for the second show in a row, we're ending with our old friend, Stalker Patty.
Oh.
She just got off work at Starbucks, where she's now a shift supervisor and trainer, making $10.50 an hour and working 50 hours a week.
Ugh.
It seems she just stopped by to say hi, but ends up having to smell producer Danny's hand after he was just on his balls, and having Danny and the other producer Pat Duffy smell her hand that was just down her pants. All of this stems from Opie's belief that Patty secretly wants to be sexually active, but was messed up by being raised in the Catholic Church and a repressive childhood. The boys press the issue and ask questions about Patty's foster parents, because this all has to come from somewhere. This has been the running gag ever since they met Patty.
What has to come from her
She's
virginity?
the 40/50/60-year-old virgin. Why? Why is this? This must be something we have to explore. There must be an explanation, and we've got to get to the bottom of it. So finally, after all this time, we're gonna talk about her foster parents, because it's just something we never talked about.
It's gotta be something from her child.
Gotta be.
How would you know if your foster parents had sex?
Their attitude.
Patty. You know, let me tell you.
Patty got touch funny too when she was
Patty,
a kid. Though.
those strung out, like Catholic, really religious people are the biggest fucking perverts you're ever going to see.
I know.
They're the ones
the
that
priest.
are doing a lot
How
of
old
the
was
fucking.
you when you got touch funny?
Well, I've never been touched funny.
Hey, seriously.
You're talking to Patrice.
Patty, seriously.
I
Let's
have
talk.
never had that problem.
Who got you? Who got you?
Nobody.
Uncle?
No.
Foster parent?
No.
She was dumped off at a diner.
How many times do you think you've been raped?
She was ready to say something.
Well, my foster father used to just walk in like I was a small child when I was 15 because that's how he saw me.
Small child at 15?
Well, that's the way he saw me.
You walk in on what?
Right in.
All right,
Crazy
hold on,
bitch.
there's a story
Taking a
here.
bath. We didn't have showers. We had a bath.
Okay, now we're getting to something.
This segment is so fucking long, and I do not, because a lot of it repeats itself.
Mm-hmm.
And God bless Patty. Love her. She loves to ramble and repeat herself a lot. So a lot of that isn't worth keeping in. So the story she ends up telling is that she'd be taking a bath, and the way the bathroom was set up was that the bathtub was kind of like around a small corner.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And her foster father would come in, shave, wash his hands or whatever, and not be able to see directly, but you could see the bathtub from the mirror. And Patty would be uncomfortable and say, I don't like when you come in here when I'm taking a bath or whatever. And he would say something to the effect of, oh, you're just a little kid. I'm not looking at you like that or whatever. It's no big deal. So that's enough for O.A. and Patrice to be like, no. There's something here.
We're gonna find some trauma and we're gonna fucking rip it to shreds.
We gotta run with this.
For some fucking laughs.
For the laughs, under the veil of trying to help you. Help you get past it.
You were daddy's little girl. He didn't want any guy fouling you up.
I was up until I was 13, and I started rebelling against them, and I didn't want them near me. You know?
Near you.
Why? What
was he doing before that?
Why? All I know is that all of a sudden I turned 11 or 12 and I was repulsed with hugging either of them. Or
God, you blocked shit out. You have amnesia.
We need a hypnotist or whatever to
Patty,
do some shit that happened to you.
You have every single sign of some type of abuse.
How would you know, Anthony?
I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah.
How do you know all the signs?
You know,
no shame.
It's like I hope you don't know, but like, How do you know?
How do you know? I think that's a valid question.
Mm-hmm.
You really do.
Really?
You do. We can't even really joke anymore.
Well,
'cause
by
this
the
is, like,
time I was
tragic.
16 months, I was already in 3 or 4 different homes.
Opie said, we
it's
can't joke
tragic.
about this anymore. It's just tragic at this point.
Yeah, agreed.
Agreed. But unfortunately, there's 2 clips left, so no, we're not done with it.
No.
Patty?
Oh, Patty.
What do you
Patty?
remember?
I don't.
Did you ever crawl into bed with him? Or did he crawl into your bed?
Oh, I remember I used to...
I
remember when we would go away to his sister in
here it comes.
Massachusetts. I had to sleep in his, with him on the couch while my brother went with my mom, and I wanted to sleep by myself.
Jesus, why
in
didn't
my
they?
own area.
Why wasn't it the other way?
Oh, fuck.
I don't know.
Why wasn't it the girl with the girl woman and the
I
boy
feel
with the
so
man?
bad. I
I
feel
didn't
fucking
feel
awful.
Patty.
I feel awful.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, dog.
Did a sock puppet ever spit at you?
A sock puppet? I don't remember
I'm
that.
just trying to put it in vague
Patty,
terms.
you had a brother that slept with your mom?
They're really trying to push this. Like, there's...
Like, it's
oh
very
my
reminiscent of the quack psychiatrist who talked all those children into claiming that the daycare workers were Satanists and molested them.
You said it while one of the clips was playing, so they didn't hear it, but yeah, they are essentially just gaslighting her to believe that something happened when it probably didn't.
Yeah.
She's very steadfast in like, no.
And guess what? Even if something did happen, it's gonna come up if it comes up.
And what business is it of yours anyway?
Yeah, well, they're literally making a business of it.
Last clip here.
He saw me as a little girl. He never saw me as an adult.
No, that was a power. That was a power
they
thing.
thought, the both of them, that I was going to end up like my natural mother, who was schizophrenic in a mental institution and really messed up because she
Guess he was right.
hallucinated. She was like my brother. She would say, I see things. And I was like, where? Because I didn't
Opie,
have
you
what
wanna
she
not
had,
give a
so
fuck, right?
I
Opie's
couldn't
like-
imagine what she was seeing.
Motherfucker got the emotion.
Opie wants to
out of
be
me.
fucking crazy.
No.
Mousetrap Opie.
I got to address this.
What's Mousetrap Opie?
They had a segment once where they put money all around the floor, along with a lot of mousetraps. And they had Patty stripped to almost naked, if not naked, with just a Krusty the Clown mask on, to crawl around the floor and collect money, while getting pinched with mousetraps along the
And
way.
it was Opie's idea?
Yeah.
Opie's a masochist.
Yeah.
And a sadist.
Yes.
Because there are times where, like these, where it's very sadistic,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are other times where he's like just in situations that he could have gotten out of but seems to be enjoying them.
Yeah. Opie is the kind of person who, and I could relate to this, my own thing, of that he loves to tell self-deprecating stories for the laughs, rather than possibly dealing with the actual underlying trauma and emotions there. When they bring in clips of their old shows to make fun of them, that's always Opie's idea. Anthony almost like, he doesn't really want to have anything to do with it, he's very uncomfortable by it, and Opie is too. But he does say that even when he has the clips, his girlfriend is being like, why do you insist on listening to these? Why do you play these? And he's like, it's funny. It's like, it is for the listener. But yeah, I do see that, like, yeah, he is the person who, like, his idea was the whole yank the wig off, shaving the head, stomping on the homeless guy's cake.
And it didn't seem like just for laughs.
No?
No, it seemed, if it were just for laughs, he doesn't understand limits.
No.
And if it wasn't just for laughs, then he was just sort of milking the situation for the sadistic situation that it was.
Yeah. I mean, we heard in that clip, I don't enjoy doing this, and Jim just goes, you do enjoy doing this. And you hear in this one, when Patrice is pointing out, we can't see it, but he's looking over at Opie, who genuinely looks uncomfortable because he wanted this to be a funny segment, and it's getting too real for him. And he didn't want to be talking about all these serious things, but now all of a sudden he cares. And Patrice is like, you don't want to care so bad. You just want to be the fucking hardest stone, but you can't help it.
There's something about when someone is in a sadistic or dominating mood, and they sense that the person they're working with is in a legitimately dark place, they can present alternative ways for that emotional energy to be dealt with. Usually through some kind of flagellation or degradation. If the submissive in the scene is like yellow flagging or red flagging or something, then after some kind of check-in, it'll turn into, would you like to continue? Change gears, bring them back into their body, and do physical things like hair pulling, hair cutting, mousetrap walking on, something physical rather than the very difficult aspect of emotions. He's a dom.
Yes.
He's a shitty dom.
Messing with guests in general is always Opie's idea. There's a lot of times people will come in either as guests or trying to do something nice by giving them gifts, and Opie will destroy the gifts. It's been an ongoing thing of when someone brings something in, someone in the room will say, don't give it to Opie. If it's a gift for somebody else, he will destroy it.
He lives for letting the intrusive thoughts win.
And he's mentioned this.
He's a walking intrusive thought.
And he deals with his mom who dealt with the same thing.
And yet, still less problematic than Anthony, so far as we know.
Yeah,
openly,
I would say.
Yeah. Do you think that Opie can compartmentalize this behavior to just the radio?
It seems...
Because if I were married to someone like that...
The stories Opie tells about his life with Lindsay, his girlfriend at this time, wife now, I insisted that my wife call me Gregorio. Or I would enter a room and talk to her in singing.
I relate a little bit too much to Opie now.
He's a fucking goof. He's just a goof.
Like early on when we started dating and I told you that I couldn't cry because I had my tear ducts removed.
Yes!
And you believed me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the times that I don't do it now because I don't want to scare you, but I do want to scare you. They're definitely intrusive thoughts. Like recently when I came around the corner and you were doing the laundry and I was not trying to scare you, but I just came around the corner and went, and you screamed, and then I screamed because you were screaming. So
I think it goes back to the environment. Opie, when he's in an environment where he has to impress people like Anthony, people like Jimmy, who are edgy by nature, or at least seem to be edgy by nature.
Edgy by nature, that's my R&B band name.
Yeah.
My R&B metal name.
He has to play it up. He has to be the psychotic guy.
See, yeah, I guess his edginess, surface level edginess.
Yes.
Where Anthony's is deep-seated bigotry edginess.
Yeah.
Not at all.
This bothers.
Now he wants to be Mickey and Mallory Opie.
Institutionalized too, like she was.
Pisses me off, bro.
Why don't you pick her up like
robbed of life?
Opie, pick her up like Officer and a Gentleman and carry her out the door.
Oh no!
And please just then drop her out a window.
Motherfucker, I'm pissed. Well, Stalker Patty's molestation has been brought to you by 5 Hour Energy.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we're left with Opie being pissed off that a person he has been torturing for years, he's mad that they were, as he sees it, robbed from having a life by her repressive, I guess, caretakers over time. But
what if he's projecting?
Yeah.
Like, there are plenty of people who have never wanted to have sex and never have sex, and they're completely happy.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking reasonable.
Mm-hmm. And this is, again, coming from someone who developed late.
Yeah.
And was kind of pushed by his parents. Why aren't you sexually active?
I had to be sexually active.
Yeah, I had to be. Why aren't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird. And we're left with them suggesting that we've got to get a hypnotist in here for a future episode because we need to get to the bottom of this. We're obviously not equipped. We're not capable of getting to the bottom of this. But
I'm sure they're going to find the
to.
most reputable hypnotist, too.
They get the guy who's always in for Ron and Fez's hypnotism shows. So obviously it's just the only person they could get.
The on-call in-house hypnotist.
Yep, essentially.
Doesn't have anything better to do.
No.
Because it's hypnotism.
So we'll get to that show when we get there. I've already heard it. Not that rough of a show this time. Still not without its pitfalls, obviously.
Now we're on the journey of Opie's sexuality, and because I would wonder if he's projecting this onto Patty because he was bullied in some way, shape, or form for not being sexual enough at a certain age.
Right.
And then also projecting that onto the concept of teachers and young students.
Just another thing to look out for. Now, gotta add that to the checklist. Anthony's racism and Opie's repressed sexuality.
And Neb's inability to tell their two voices apart still.
Perhaps by episode 20.
No.
We're well on our way, we'll get there.
At this point, I'm just gonna intentionally try not to hear any difference. They're the same person to me.
Could be a little confusing.
They're a two-headed dragon.
Yeah.
To me. Like the two-headed dragon from Dragon Tales. Play the clip.
Or dragon badge. It's closed.